home. Just wanna go home, home, back home. I've been going for way too home, home. Just wanna go home, home. I'm on my way back home.
Welcome to Never Skip Brunch. If this is your first time here, my name is Cara. And today we're going to be upholstering a bench. Before we get started making this, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all my fun and fresh ideas. Now you might remember this bench from one of my earlier tutorials. I showed you how to build it out of framing lumber. So if you don't have a bench yet, hop over to that video to learn how to build this one. I'll link it in the description below. And if you have an existing bench that needs upholstered, I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step. You don't need to know how to sew. Before we talk about what you'll need for this project, let's make sure your bench is going to work for upholstery. So in general, if you're just starting out and you're not like a professional upholsterer, you want to pick a bench that's pretty much square. You don't want any kind of crazy scallops or curves, since those are pretty hard to work around in terms of getting everything really smooth. Those are usually going to take a little bit of sewing or kind of some expert experience. So go for something that's super square on top. In terms of legs, if you have legs that are set back a little bit, that's gonna work best. You can see on this bench there's kind of like a good ledge all around my legs. I have like 2 inches to work with, so that means I don't have to take these legs off. I can just upholster the bench as it is. But in general, we're looking for a square bench with legs that are set back. That's gonna make it super easy. Okay, let's talk about what you'll need. So your bench, then you're gonna need some poly foam. So foam can get kind of pricey. I actually picked foam that's just 1 inch thick, and I'm gonna double it up. So I have a 2-inch cushion, but the 2-inch foam was a lot more expensive, so I'm just using 2 layers of 1-inch foam, which honestly, after you put the fabric over it, you're not even gonna notice, so that's a really good way to save some money. Okay, the next thing you're gonna need is some batting. So this is just in the quilting section. I bought kind of a small pack that was like $3, and it's just kind of like 1 sheet of batting. This is basically gonna be enough to go over my bench in a double layer. If yours is really, really thin, you might want 3 layers. What this is gonna do is help kind of soften the edges of the foam. It's also gonna help on the side right here, that's wood. It's gonna help that be soft to the touch when you touch it, so it just helps with shape. So you want enough batting that you can put 2 to 3 layers over your bench and still have room to staple on the bottom. The next thing that you're gonna need is some fabric. This fabric caught my eye at Hobby Lobby like the second I walked in. It is so perfect. The one way to keep a classic print looking fun and fresh is to find it in some kind of bright color. Okay, let's get started. If you have a bench that you need to remove the legs, go ahead and take those off. And then I'm gonna start by rolling out my foam and cutting it to size. Now that I have my foam pieces cut, I'm just going to tack them down to my bench with my spray adhesive. Okay, so now it's time to put on your batting. I'm just gonna spray to tack it down. This, you don't wanna pull tight. You really wanna just wrap it around loosely, and then when you get to your fabric is really when you can kind of cinch everything together. If you do this too tight, then you're gonna get ripples and it's not gonna be that smooth, even look. So I'm just adding a little bit of spray. So you can staple it while it's this direction, but I kind of prefer to flip it over. So with this, I just like to start in the middle and kind of gently fold it over, not too much tugging or pulling. And put a staple about every 4 to 5 inches, just enough where it feels secure. Okay, so now I'm to the corner, and what I'm gonna do is actually create a fold. So I'm gonna fold this over and then create kind of a little pleat on the corner, keeping it loose, but I don't want all of this extra. So I'm actually gonna cut out a corner just to eliminate some of the bulk. So now I can kind of fold and create kind of a more clean pleat. If you do have an area on your bench that's a little too tight, you can just kind of loosely pull on the batting to stretch it a little bit so that your foam isn't kind of cinched down. Okay, so before we start with the fabric, I'm just gonna flip my bench over, make sure all of this is secure, and then kind of trim up the batting in areas where it's a little bit too long, just so it's really clean when I stretch my fabric. Now it's time to put the fabric on. If you have a fabric that has a print or any kind of like line in it, you want to make sure that it's in line with the edge of your bench. If it's slightly crooked, it's going to look a little bit off, so either you want to go entirely intentionally diagonal, or you want to make sure that it's lined up with the edge. I'm just going to trim this fabric and make sure I give myself enough room to stretch it underneath. Now I'm just going to start in the middle again with my staples and then leave the corners until I flip the bench back over. This time you're going to pull the fabric pretty tight, not too tight because you don't want to totally lose the shape of your foam, but you want to keep it taut and keep it all pulled even. Just make sure it's tight enough where you're not going to have any ripples or wrinkles. And then this time you're also going to do staples a bit more frequently, really just as often as you need to make sure that it all stays even and tight. I do them about every inch, probably a little bit more frequently than that, depending on how thick your fabric is. But don't be afraid to overuse staples. This is the bottom, so you're not gonna even see them. So just a couple quick tips. You don't want to staple too close to the edge of your fabric. You want to leave at least about 1 inch to 1/2 inch of your fabric before you staple. Just in case those staples tug, they're not going to rip through your fabric. With thicker fabric, it's not as much of a problem, but if you're using something kind of thinner, you want to be really careful of that. The other tip is if you have a staple that doesn't go in all the way, you can use a hammer to just kind of tap on either side of it to get it all the way in. You can also use your fabric as a guide for how tight to pull. You want it all to be even around that corner. So look at your pattern and see if you need to go tighter or looser in any different area. Okay, so now I've secured all of my edges and I have my corners left to do with plenty of space to kind of work those. So now I'm going to flip it over and do the same sort of fold. So there's two basic ways to do corners, either more of a square corner or more of a rounded corner. I'm going to do square corners on this, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to fold for a rounded corner. So if you want it to be more round, you're going to pull down right on the corner and pull that tight, and then kind of create 2 side pleats on the side, and then kind of pull those down. So that is what's going to give you a more rounded looking corner. So now I'm just going to flip it over, add a couple more staples to the corners to really secure them, and then trim up the rest of the fabric. So this is what the finished upholstered bench looks like. So if you like this look, you can just keep it exactly how it is. I'm going to play around with adding some trim. There's a lot of ways to do this. You could just hot glue it on. You could use kind of a liquid stitch fabric glue, or you can kind of use your tacks. Okay, and then this is the fabric adhesive I'm using. I just snagged it from the craft store. It is permanent, so it'll help really stick it down. So when you round the corners, you want to put one on each side of the corner. Even though they're close together, this is going to really help keep it on there and secure. Okay, so this is what the finished bench looks like. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that red subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all my fun and fresh ideas and catch more DIY projects just like this.
Home, just wanna go, home, back home. I've been going for way too home, just wanna go, home. I'm on my way back home.